kept promoting and promoting, and now, 45 years later, look what happened. I mean, now just about every medical report shows that how beneficial weight resistance training is for your body, for your muscles, for everything, for your health, for your heart, for longevity, for everything. And they're using it now for, the rehab after operations, especially after orthopedic surgery and so on. There is not one single hotel. Like in this hotel, you go downstairs, you don't even have to ask, do you have a gymnasium? Any and every hotel has a fitness room now, has a place where you can use weights and machines and all of this stuff. So this is what has happened. This crusade has been extremely successful because we stayed on it. So I'm proud of that I have been part, not me alone. Many people have been part of this fitness crusade. We've fought it together, and look how far we've come. And this is just the beginning. It will continue like that.
And this is really my favorite group of all the weekends, because you are the ones who have been partying in the evening. You've been here all weekend, and still you come in for the seminar on Sunday morning. This year we moved it to a little later time in the hope that we might be able to get more of the night people here. But it's a really unique opportunity to ask Arnold any questions you may wish, and also we usually have most of the champions from the previous days and some instructional thing that you can take advantage of. But I always like to take a few minutes to update you on what we're doing, and of course, as you heard last night, next year our events, the main events, will all be right in this area here, the convention center across, and we're going to have a facility that will accommodate 4,400 people. We're going to have the great staging again that we've always had. And we, as you know, who have been here many years, have a commitment to you to always do better than our previous best. Now there is a huge Ohio Expo Center about 10 minutes east of the convention center. It's really called the Ohio Fairgrounds. And next year we're going to have access to 9 additional competitive sites, 9 buildings out there. So we're going to be moving some events out to that fairground area. And then we're going to have the logistical challenge. The parking will be much easier out there. We're going to have strings of buses running between that area and downtown. But we're going to be moving such events as archery out there. Now, archery is one of 50 events we have, but because of the movie Hunger Games, why archery has taken off like mad as an activity. We had 1,600 youngsters over in Veterans Memorial on Friday, but the man who runs the archery said, I can easily get 2,500 athletes in here for an archery event, but we always have as many come in as we think we can accommodate with them still having a good competitive experience. So there'll be several very interesting events. We'll be moving out the fairgrounds, but still the convention center with its, this year, 840 booths over there. And the demand has been so great, and that's the reason we expanded another 140 booths this year. But there's a lot of people watching potential over in that particular facility. You never see anything like it. And you were in there yesterday, you know how crowded it is. But it has been that way for years. And people are just moving through politely against each other. But we've never had an incident in there of any type, notwithstanding those thousands of people. And I think the reason for that is that you'd be crazy to start an incident in that facility there, because you know there's somebody right next to you who could take you out very quickly, whoever you are, you know. So it's been a great period of growth over the years. We continue to grow. You know, we've been doing this for quite a while. But as you heard last night a little bit, we've had teams of people in from other continents earlier this weekend. And I'm talking about teams of 10 in from Brazil, China, Spain, South Africa, Australia. And we will be moving this concept that you have here in Columbus, Ohio, we have here in Columbus, Ohio, is approved to be a winning combination of activities, where you have a huge fitness expo at the center, but then get as many sports as you can competing in and around it. And all the sports love it. Of course, I just came from a few minutes ago down at the Scottish Highland Games down in the center of Columbus. And here's a large group of Scottish Highland athletes, both amateur and professional, who are throwing the caber out in the snow right now. They've never competed in the snow before, but they're very hardy individuals. We also had a team of about 40 bagpipers down there and Scottish Highland dancers down there, mostly in the outdoors. And of course, this morning, we have this huge 5K run, the pump and run activity here out in High Street. And as many of you may have seen, there were more than 1,000 runners out there this morning. So notwithstanding the very bad, again, weather conditions, why there's a lot of people who are very fit, loving to compete in a wide range of activities where we have, again, 50 events.
The question I've gotten all weekend long, more than any, everybody knows, as you mentioned, this is the last year at the Vet. It's going to go to that big auditorium in the sky. But what is going to happen to the Arnold statue out in the front?
Well, the Arnold statue has been a great attraction in front of Veterans Memorial for these last couple of years since it's been there. But if you look at the convention center right across the street there, you'll see on the west side of it there's a big walkway, and it currently has some lattice work on top of it. But that's going to be removed, and Arnold's statue will be right on the west side of the convention center, right on the High Street side here. So we're going to have a really good location. So when Veterans Memorial comes down, that statue will be moved over to the convention center on the west side, outdoors.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Mr. Lorimer, obviously, you've been promoting shows here longer than I've been alive, since the mid-'60s. I say that with all due respect, of course. You've got to have some emotions that go to it. I mean, you know, from the Mr. World competition to the various other events to obviously now what's become the Arnold Festival, involving hundreds of countries, you know, worldwide, and now obviously the globalization of the Arnold, now in other countries, Brazil, Spain, Australia on the list, China, and it goes on and on. Give me your thoughts on the last hurrah here at the Vet.
Well, change can be very difficult. Of course, when you live as long as I have, where you adapt to change, and you had better do it or you're not going to survive very well. And the fact of the matter is that Veterans Memorial has been an absolutely ideal facility for us to present the sport of bodybuilding. It's the only banked 4,000-seat auditorium in the Midwest, and the big stage up there. So we will very much miss it. But the financial realities were the building was not sustaining itself well economically, and so a political and economic decision was made that it must be replaced. They're just going to put a smaller Veterans Memorial facility in there. And so what do you do when that decision's made? In other words, we could maybe fight it, but when you're fighting it, you're fighting some very strong political and economic persons that you would prefer not to confront in the community. As a consequence, why you see, as you're here on the weekend, the tremendous support we have from this community. The Columbus Dispatch are giving us almost a whole paper to us, and opening up all of the Ohio Center, which we just mentioned. They had other things scheduled out there, but they have moved all those other things off of the Ohio Center in order to have the Arnold Classic accommodated as well as possible, because this is very much the largest event that comes to this community in a year, with 175,000 people coming in and filling 100 hotels and bringing $42 million into the Central Ohio area. So it has a lot of meaning to the community. But it's right from the beginning, the main thing is when an event of this scope is sustaining the forward movement and growth of it. And if you don't keep trying to do better and put all your energy into giving more entertainment value and more sports value to it, why it's going to go the other way. And we have been very, very fortunate in the time that we've been doing. My first event was in Veterans Memorial, as you heard last evening, in 1967. And a lot of you weren't even there around at that time. But that evening I had the Mr. America contest and the National Weightlifting Championships. And that was so successful even at that time that they then asked us if we would run the World Weightlifting Championships, if we could get them in Columbus. And I said that we would. And we got the World Weightlifting Championships here in 1970. And I said, if you have a World Weightlifting Championship, which takes 7 days, you're going to lose your shirt. You've got to have a Mr. contest with this event. And they said, well, what should we call it? And I said, let's call it the Mr. World Contest. And so we had a Mr. World Contest and the World Weightlifting Championships. I got ABC TV Wide World of Sports to come in and cover it. And as a part of that coverage, I contacted the 6 top bodybuilders in the world to come in for the Mr. World Contest in 1970. One of whom was Governor Schwarzenegger, Arnold at the time. And I called Arnold and I told him about ABC TV Wide World of Sports coming in, and he said, you know, I would very much like to be there. I want to be there, but I have to be in the Mr. Universe contest in London, England on the Saturday night before your Sunday competition in Columbus. And I said, well, if you will compete in the Mr. Universe contest Saturday night and go to Heathrow Airport directly after the competition, get the last flight out of Heathrow, we will meet you by jet in New York on Sunday morning and get you here to Columbus. And he said, if you will do that, I will do that. So he won the Mr. Universe on Saturday night, got the plane, we meet him in New York, got him here, and he came in and won the competition, beating Sergio Olivia for the first time. And after the contest, he came up to me and said, this is the best event I've ever been in. When I am done competing in the sport, I'm going to come back to Columbus, Ohio, and ask you to be my partner. So for the next 5 years, he won everything. But then you remember in 1975 in South Africa, he won Mr. Olympia for the last time. And he stopped on the way back from there and said to me, as we met here in Columbus, next year, 1976, we want to have the Mr. Olympia contest here. He said, I'll get the athletes here, I'll get the sponsors, you run the event. And on a handshake in 1975, our partnership has continued for all those years. We say a lot about, again, Arnold as an individual, his loyalty to us, and the loyalty to the sport. And the commitment was right from the beginning to do everything we could to popularize the sport of bodybuilding, move its image up in the world. And Arnold has, again, accomplished that big time. And now as we're moving to 6 continents at the present time, after all those years, we'll just further movement on what we're trying to do. And that was a much longer story than I wanted to share, but is Arnold in the room yet?
I think it's a great story. When you agree, folks. Jim, take me back to 1970. Your impressions of Arnold. I mean, Arnold wasn't the business tycoon that we know today. He wasn't the international film star and all that. He was a competitor.
Yeah, well, I can tell you one interesting reaction to Arnold was on that evening. I can remember so well. Because after the event, I went backstage, and I knew he had flown all night long and won the Mr. Universe the night before. But when I looked at him, his eyes were as clear as a bell. He was just, I mean, so full of life, just coming out of the individual. So he is a unique person in the history, and he'll be a man who is remembered, I assure you, 100 years from now, because the very special way he influences people's lives throughout the world. And I should not have said that because he's in here and he said this, and I won't be able to live with him anymore.
Well, let's